Well, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me this morning. I got this cute little mug. Take a look. Resting Grinch face. Just picked that up this morning at the store. Yeah, I've got some story time for you guys today, and I hope you'll join me this morning. You're having breakfast or whenever you're able to join me. It's always awesome that you guys support the channel. But my little buddy here, a week and a half ago, we had a bit of a big scare with him, actually. And some of you guys may know, from Facebook that Royce had an eye emergency. So let's talk about it. So rewinding back a little while ago, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago now, the day started like any other day. Royce was hanging out in the morning with one of his doggy friends, playing, having a good old time. And, just a routine morning, not a big deal. So I brought him back inside, and I had a few errands, an appointment that I had to go to, and had some errands to run. So I did that and took a little run over to Cabela's and got this lovely shirt and the comforter set you see behind me. So it's some good Christmas deals on right now, so I want to take advantage of those. So I packed up all my stuff and I headed home for lunch because that's the usual time that Royce goes out for a lunchtime break. So I came home and he was on the couch, much like you see him right here. This is his usual spot. And, I came into the house and, got him excited. Let's go for a walk, but he wouldn't get off the couch, which is kind of weird. Yeah, sometimes he's sleepy, but this was definitely like he just didn't want to move and I wasn't sure what was going on. So what I did was he wouldn't open his eyes. His eyes, like the pink of the eye, like the third eyelid was like right over both eyes, and he just would not look at me. He seemed to be like, at first I thought maybe he got into something on the morning walk when he was playing with his little dog friend, eating snow. Maybe there was something in there that was toxic that he ate, because he kind of looked like he was really out of it. But then it became clear to me that he couldn't see very well. So I literally had to pry open his eyeballs and look inside. And unfortunately, it looked like the left eye had a film on it. It was very white compared to the other side. So he couldn't see out of it. He finally got up off the couch, then he walked into the wall on the left side. He could not see. So of course I panicked. So he got emergency treatment as fast as I could get it, and determined that he unfortunately developed glaucoma in the left eye. So what that is, humans can get glaucoma, dogs can get glaucoma. What it is, it's high pressure within the eyeball. So, the eyeball's enclosed and there's fluid inside of it, and he just wasn't, cycling the fluid properly. He just couldn't drain it out. So the eye just kept getting, more and more pressure building up inside of it, which led the eye to get kind of fogged over, like in a shower. This shower glass, it gets all foggy. And of course, you can't see out of that, right? And he was in a huge amount of pain. This dog, he's a super stoic guy. And he was in an extreme amount of pain, and that was extremely hard for me to see. So, we tried valiantly for about 3 hours. There were certain drops that we had to put in the eyes. And at one point, the drops were going in every 15 minutes for 3 hours in an attempt to try to get his eye pressure back to normal. So pressure for his eye should normally be between 10 and 20. The left eye was up, 50s, 70s, 90 at one point. It was that's really high. And my understanding is that dogs can generate higher eye pressures in their eyes than humans. So you can imagine, he felt like he had the worst migraine of his life in that eye, and he just couldn't see. And I couldn't explain to him what was happening. It was so upsetting for me that I couldn't relieve his pain, or just really felt like I was helpless, in that situation. So the pressure, what was doing was putting pressure on the nerve at the back of the eye and knocking out his vision too. Not only was he couldn't see because it was all fuzzed over and foggy on the left side, it was actually giving him nerve damage. So the goal with the drops was to try to take his eye pressure down. And unfortunately that failed. And, in discussion with the doggy ophthalmologist, there are other measures you can try to take, but really the vision was lost. There was really no point in putting him through all these other procedures that had a lot of complications, to save an eye that was already basically blind. It was crazy how fast this went. I was gone for no more than 3 hours. He was fine in the morning, playing visual, horsing around with his friend. And then I came home to a dog that was blind in one eye, literally boom, like that, pressure spike, and it just stayed, it would not come down. So that was horribly distressing for me. I've literally cried for a week straight. It's like super hard to see them like this. So basically what happened was this week, like when this video was filmed, this be 4 days ago, he had the left eye removed. You know, it's the only way to really relieve the pain effectively. There are other methods you could use, but that would save the actual like globe itself of the eye, but it would still be a blind eye and it would still be prone to getting, you know, sticks in it and stuff like that, like we're in the woods. So I made the decision that that was not really what was best for him and our lifestyle, and that the eye had to be removed. You know, that way, one, the pain would be immediately relieved, well, other than surgical pain, and that the risk of actually causing another severe problem with just like a kind of a dead eye anyway, like I just didn't think that was worthwhile keeping that in there. So he got his eye out. I'm covering the hair over the area because some of you may be squeamish to see that, and I understand that it's a little bit disturbing to look at for sure. But immediately, you know, I mean, he was pretty stoned when we picked him up from the emergency hospital, but he, you know, he was a champ. Like the next day, like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. You know, he's still like, you know, the drugs make him a little zoned out, and this isn't normally his nap time anyway. But yeah, he's a lot of good pain meds, obviously, after the operation. But literally within 24 hours after the surgery, I had my dog back. Like he wanted to play, wanted to wrestle, steal my winter gloves, you know, play in the snow, but you're not supposed to do that. So basically we have 2 weeks of rest, relaxation. He has stitches in the eye that are gonna like where the eye was, there's a line of stitches. Those are gonna have to come out probably another 10 days. Yeah, 10 days. So I'll show you, he does have a little lampshade here that he wears when he can't be watched 100% of the time. Like I'm right here, obviously he's not gonna do anything, but there's always a possibility he could do something. And some of you guys see on the thumbnail, I have them in goggles. So these are some goggles I got off Amazon. I actually got 2 pairs, like 30 bucks each. They're like actually a great deal for what they are. They're dog goggles. So they go around the ear and under the chin. So they're kind of like this. It looks so weird. But you know what? It totally works. So when we're outside, especially if it's snowing, we had a huge snowstorm. It keeps the snow out of his eye, and if he wants to like bury his little face in the snow, it protects them. They're waterproof. They're like super flexible. This is the big dog kind, like the German Shepherd Lab Bouvier size. And they're, yeah, super flexible, super soft. They don't put any pressure on like his cut or anything like that. So just Amazon. I also have another thing coming, you know, that's not so onto the face. It's called an Optivisor. That will be more for our hikes in the woods. And that one is actually completely clear. It's, you know, UV protected and stuff like that, because now we got to try to keep the other eye as safe as possible. And I mean, this guy tears through the woods at 1,000 miles an hour after deer and stuff like that, so I don't really want to have an accident. You know, unfortunately, I had some testing done with the ophthalmologist on his other eye. It's called gonioscopy. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. Google it if you don't. And it just takes a look at, you know, where the fluid would normally, you know, drain out of the eye and stuff like that, like our fluid cycle within the eye. And it showed that he had some, you know, issues there. Like he was born with eyes that were not completely normal. They look normal. Like if you and I were to look at his eyeball, they don't look like it's a problem or anything. But when you have like a big like lens, a magnifying glass almost like looks at that area where the fluid would drain out of the eye, there's a problem there. So unfortunately, there is some genes in this breed of dog, and others too, like beagles and cocker spaniels and the like, Samoyeds, Samoyeds, however you want to say that, have it as well, flat-coated retrievers. There are issues with, you know, with those kinds of dogs and glaucoma. The only thing is with these guys is that, you know, they can have the abnormalities that he was born with in the eyes, but not go on to develop glaucoma. So there's some other things we just don't know about yet with this breed, and what actually would have triggered that from happening. You know, stress could be one of them. Sometimes going into like a dark room and your pupil opens up really big, that actually could precipitate a glaucoma crisis in animals or people that are predisposed. So yeah, I just don't know the other factors involved. You know, unfortunately, there are some genes we don't know. It's like I'm doing tons of reading. It seems like it's a very complex inheritance. And even if you breed 2 normal dogs, you're not guaranteed to have a dog with a normal internal anatomy of the eye, where the fluid drains out. Because if there was something way back in history, maybe a few genes here and there combined, you could still have an affected dog. So it's a bit of a nightmare. I mean, he's neutered. He's not going to have puppies or anything like that. So, because I would not breed him, because I just, you don't want to have anybody else have to go through this, because he obviously has a problem. Now, the other thing is that he had blastomycosis last Christmas. We've had a couple of rough Decembers. He's cured of that, thank God. All of his testing, like we did, like when this happened, the risk was that the eye went because of it was, blastomycosis in the eye. That was like one of the thinking. It was like maybe the blast was back and it's now in the eye, which would be like an absolute nightmare. Like the rest of his body's negative, but maybe it walled up in the eye or something like that. I mean, I heard on the news some guy had Ebola, and then like 8 weeks later, Ebola was in the eyeball, but it was negative everywhere else. So I was thinking maybe that's what it was. The ophthalmologist thinks it's probably related to, he had the abnormal anatomy in his eye, and then something else triggered the glaucoma attack. But to be 100%, his eye has gone to a laboratory to be analyzed by a specialist. So we're gonna they dissect it and like tell you what's wrong. So anyway, so we're gonna get that result back hopefully in the next 2 weeks. To be 100%, it's not blasto. Like, I don't even know what I wanted it to be. I know I was like, okay, is this like a primary thing? Like he had an issue and then something triggered it and there it went, or blasto? Like what do I want? Because the real risk here is because his good eye has that problem, that eye has a very strong probability of going on to develop glaucoma as well. And it could be weeks, it could be months, it could be a couple of years. We don't know. I think statistically speaking, 50%, by 20 months from now are blind in that eye, the other eye, and they're completely blind. So that's a huge, huge pill to swallow. Unreal, really. It's like, here's my buddy like running around through the woods having like the time of his life, and then the curtain comes down, you just can't see it at one side, and now we could be facing at some indeterminate point in time that the other eye may go, maybe it won't, but odds are that statistically speaking, a lot of them lose the other one because it's a similar problem in both eyes. And if it was that bad that something else triggered this issue, well, it's probably going to happen in the other eye eventually. So right now, what's the way forward? I think what we need to do is just keep up with his training, keep loving him as we do. He just wants a friend right now. He doesn't like need me to sit there and cry over him. These dogs are highly emotional dogs, like a lot of them are. And, when they see that we're super upset, they get really upset too, because they think there's something horribly wrong with whatever's going on with me or whatever. So I think right now it's just kind of being his friend, giving him his medications, keeping him comfortable, and then basically working on the training. He's really, really, really well trained dog. He knows a lot of commands, but there's a few that we're really going to have to, in preparation for potential loss of the second eye, that we're going to have to bone up on, like step up, step down, right, left. Like, and he knows like whoa and careful and stuff like that, but it becomes extremely important if they're running around a new environment that you can stop them on a dime. If they're going to run into a tree or run into like a car or something like that, like, so this is the kind of thing we're gonna be working on. He's getting comfortable back there. These are things we'll be working on, over the coming weeks. I mean, immediately, I started changing my own behavior, approaching him from the right, putting his food dish down from the right. I mean, dogs really, their sense of like their vision sense is, way down on the list of things that they actually, he likes this comforter. Like, you need to pick one up. You need to realize that their vision is sort of way down the list of things they really use. I think they use their smell as like numero uno, right? I could tell it already, even as a visual dog, like his sense of smell was like the number one thing, sense of, like touch, but like hearing for sure. And I think vision for him, I felt he was always kind of nearsighted. So like, I think once, he got into a certain range, then yeah, vision became extremely important. But I think the other two were super important. So, I think what I'll do is I'll put a little bell, a little tiny bell on my shoe. So when I walk, you can hear it kind of dingling along and he'll know exactly where I am. Working on some of the commands and, just kind of rethinking how we're going to, how we're gonna like live together and do things that we want to do safely for him. We travel in the woods in some pretty complex environments, so gonna have to rethink that if we do lose both eyes. But one eye, he can, depth perception is a little messed up, so you can see he misses a step sometimes. We crossed a little stream the other day and he kind of slipped off the rock a little bit. I was right there, like with his collar and stuff, but these things, I think, things you have to consider, that our lives will be changed a bit. So anyway, I just want to give you guys that update. Sorry for going on so long about it, but I know you guys may have seen it on Facebook and wondered, you know, why we're a little bit quiet these days, and that's why we're just going to take the next little while over the holidays to rest and, you know, let him recover and catch up on some sleep. I mean, he's pretty tired. I mean, there was a week where I don't think he really slept at all. Like he was up in the night groaning and thrashing around, and even with all the pain meds, it was super hard to kind of keep his pain under control. So, and I was up too because I do drops through the night. So we're just going to rest and relax and enjoy the season. And yeah, if you guys have, you know, had blind pets or you know, anything glaucoma, please let me know down in the comments. I just need some encouragement that there is hope in this next chapter. I mean, I know there is, but you know, you're kind of in a state of shock. It's been only less than 10 days from this whole situation unfolding. So yeah, I just need some encouragement. So if you don't mind, please leave a comment down below. I reread them. I really appreciate them. I've been a little bit slow on responding lately, but we've got a lot going on. But do know I really, really appreciate all your comments and, you know, things like that and your support. So, all right. Well, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.